Stay till the end, this one quietly costs people the most. In 1916, a court in Tennessee handed down a verdict nobody expects. In 1916, after a circus elephant named Mary fatally injured a handler in Irwin, Tennessee, local officials treated the incident as a matter for formal judgment rather than simply removing the animal. Public pressure and fear pushed the case toward a swift, community-wide decision. Save this. Follow for money psychology. Why do smart people stay poor? One warning label has convinced generations of people they could get arrested. The "do not remove under penalty of law" tag sewn onto mattresses is one of the most widely misunderstood labels in American life. The law behind it was never written for consumers in the first place, but the wording made it sound like a personal legal threat. Rewatch the first 3 seconds. You'll catch it. Why do smart people stay poor? You've heard the joke version. Here's what actually happened. In 1994, 79-year-old Stella Liebeck spilled McDonald's coffee on herself and suffered third-degree burns requiring skin grafts. The case became a punchline for frivolous lawsuits, but the coffee was served at 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to cause full-thickness burns in seconds. Nobody ever tells you that part. Tag someone who needs to hear this. This money habit is silently draining your future. This exact wording is real, active British law. The UK's Salmon Act of 1986 makes it a criminal offence to handle salmon, in suspicious circumstances, a law originally created to combat black market poaching and illegal fish trading in rural fishing communities. Which explains a lot about how money actually works. Watch the first line again. It explains everything. Here's why you feel broke even when you earn more. In 1386, a court sentenced an animal to death for a crime. In 1386, a pig in Falaise, France was formally put on trial for killing a child. The pig was given a defense lawyer, appeared before a judge, and was found guilty under the same procedures used for human defendants. This was not a one-time joke. Animal trials happened across Europe for centuries, with pigs, rats, and even insects formally prosecuted in court. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Send this to someone who needs it. Here's why you feel broke even when you earn more. This one law has an oddly specific backstory. In Alaska, it is illegal to give alcoholic beverages to a moose. The law sounds like a joke, but it was created after real incidents of moose becoming aggressive and dangerous after eating fermented crab apples, and people intentionally feeding moose alcohol to film the reaction. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Watch the first line again. It explains everything. This money habit is silently draining your future. This rule is stricter than most people realize. Thai law technically requires citizens to wear underwear when leaving the house, under a broader public decency statute. It is rarely enforced as a standalone charge but can be added to other public indecency citations. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Send this to someone who needs it. Here's why you feel broke even when you earn more. This obvious law was invented for a surprising reason. Before the 1920s, streets belonged to pedestrians as much as vehicles, and walking across a road anywhere was completely legal. As car accidents killed thousands of pedestrians, public anger turned against automakers, not walkers. Send this to someone who needs it. This is the real reason your paycheck disappears. This legal code is nearly 4,000 years old. The Code of Hammurabi, carved into a stone stele around 1754 BC in ancient Babylon, is one of the earliest known written legal codes. It listed specific crimes and specific punishments, including the well-known eye for an eye principle. Go back and watch how this started. Stay till the end, this one quietly costs people the most. Prosecutors tried to use an animal's testimony in court. In a 2015 Michigan murder case, prosecutors attempted to introduce as evidence that the victim's pet parrot began repeating the phrase, "Don't shoot," after witnessing the crime. The bird had never said the phrase before the murder. Which explains a lot about how money actually works. Save this. Follow for money psychology. This money habit is silently draining your future. One law forced millions of cars to change overnight. In 2009, Samoa changed from driving on the right side of the road to the left side, becoming one of the few countries to make this switch in modern history. The government gave the public only months to prepare. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Stay till the end, this one quietly costs people the most. One case changed how an entire industry writes warning labels. After the 1994 McDonald's coffee verdict, businesses across the U.S. began adding far more detailed and prominent warning labels to hot beverages, packaging, and machinery, fearing similar liability. Legal scholars call this the hot coffee effect. Send this to someone who needs it. Nobody taught you this in school, and it shows. This is a real, currently enforced law. Under Ontario's noise regulations, playing music at high volume from a boat, including canoes, can result in a fine if it disturbs others on the water. The rule falls under broader public nuisance law but is specifically enforced on lakes during peak summer season. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Send this to someone who needs it. The rich know this. Most people never learn it. This lawsuit shouldn't have been possible, but it happened. In 1998, an Oklahoma prisoner named Robert Lee Brock filed a lawsuit against himself, claiming he had violated his own civil rights by committing crimes while drunk. He asked the court to make the state pay his own damages since he was indigent. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Save this. Follow for money psychology. Wealthy people do the opposite of this, every time. You cannot legally name your child just anything there. In Germany, parents must submit chosen baby names to the local Standesamt registry office, which can reject names that do not clearly indicate the child's gender, could embarrass the child, or use a brand name or object as a first name. Which explains a lot about how money actually works. Watch the first line again. It explains everything. Nobody taught you this in school, and it shows. This law exists but nobody can actually enforce it. There is a popular claim that it is illegal to die inside the Houses of Parliament in London, since anyone who dies there would technically be entitled to a state funeral as it is royal property. While this specific rule is more urban legend than statute, it stems from real ambiguity in Old English common law about royal property and death. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Save this. Follow for money psychology. The rich know this. Most people never learn it. Some apartment buildings enforce this as an actual rule. In parts of Switzerland, tenant agreements and local noise ordinances restrict flushing toilets after 10 p.m. in shared apartment buildings, treating it as a noise disturbance similar to loud music. Landlords can issue formal warnings, and repeat violations can lead to fines. Which explains a lot about how money actually works. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Why do smart people stay poor? An animal rights group sued on behalf of a monkey. In 2011, a crested macaque named Naruto took a selfie using an unattended camera belonging to photographer David Slater. In 2015, PETA sued on Naruto's behalf, arguing the monkey should own the copyright to the image since he pressed the shutter. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Stay till the end, this one quietly costs people the most. One city banned facial hair for a very specific group. In 2010, officials in Osaka, Japan formally banned mustaches for male municipal employees, arguing they gave an unfriendly appearance to the public. Around 6,000 workers were surveyed on grooming habits before the rule was implemented. And that's the habit that quietly keeps people broke. Tag someone who needs to hear this. This money habit is silently draining your future. A court actually upheld this unusual will. In 2007, hotel businesswoman Leona Helmsley left $12 million in trust for her dog Trouble in her will. 2 grandchildren who were cut out of the will challenged it in court, arguing Helmsley was not of sound mind. Tag someone who needs to hear this.